we want to make sure we have a very, very good foundation in our mechanical movements so that when we actually endeavor to bring more pressure into the rowing stroke and try to get the boat to go faster, we're doing so from a very solid, stable place. If we don't, we may get faster, but we're going to sort of top out sooner, and then we're done. It's kind of like, you get an engine that's redlining, you're up there and you can go no faster. You have to kind of get a better foundation to be able to get more power out of this. And so some of these pieces that it's going to be helpful to understand are how we are sort of setting ourselves up from the release, from the finish, and moving forward. Fortunately with rowing, this is a repetitive sport, so if we miss it on one stroke, not to fear, we have another one coming up right behind it where we can hopefully do a little better job. So, when we're looking at something as simple as the pictorial, it's like, yeah, pictorial, I know how to do this, yeah, no problem. It's like, I'm seeing you guys and then saying, do a particular aspect of the pictorial, and I'm seeing lots of puzzled looks or something that you think you're doing, and I'm saying this is not it. So the first thing we want to make sure we're clear on is that when we are getting to the release, the second half of the drive, when we're kind of prying through, and we really want to make sure that we're holding suspension through, having an awareness of how we stay contact with our feet is important. You think like, yeah, I know how to contact with my feet, but I'm looking at how you guys are moving and I'm saying, you don't. What we're looking for, hopefully, is to be able to maintain some sort of pressure, probably more from the big toe side as we get to the end of the stroke, and keeping our body stationary and up. So not coming through and down, because of course that's going to push the bow down, which increases wetted surface, which slows everything down. So we want to keep our body up. This requires muscular strength through here. If we do not have this, this is something we can work on. But we want to make sure that we are looking at keeping the body up, but also to some extent swinging into bow to kind of continue the momentum through. So assuming we've gotten to this position, we are then going to have our hands come away to take the next stroke. And so if we want to really practice what this finished position feels like, from the toes, holding myself stable with the feet, holding my body, my torso stable, and doing just arms. This is arms only. And as I'm sitting here, there are a couple places where I can use as sort of tactile reference points. I already mentioned the feet. So the toes are here, providing some sort of resistance. If you've ever had the opportunity to possibly row in a single or another boat where the foot stretchers weren't tight, you probably found this rather challenging very quickly, because as you try to push in some way, you have no resistance. Simple physics. You have to have a point of resistance here, otherwise leverage does not work. So it is then very important to make sure that we are aware of this contact and maintaining it. And as we do this, we also at the finish hopefully have an awareness of weight, contact, somewhere on the tailbone side of the seat. Now fortunately the seats have nice little notches for our tailbone, so it's not sitting into the seat. If you put the seat in backwards, you'll realize that really quickly. It feels really uncomfortable. So if we are holding that weight on the back side, your tailbone side of the seat, holding pressure here, keeping connection up, we are now ready. We have stabilized the lower portion of our body so that now we can leverage with our arms. And so we bring arms into our body and just away. Notice I'm not doing this. Shoulder blades are stationary. The movement is coming primarily just from the top of the arm, head of the humerus, out. This motion. Because I want to make sure I'm aware of what this stabilization feels like and what this weight on the tailbone feels like. I don't have to be way back here, but I do have to be on this side of the sit bones up by the tailbone. So once I have a sense of what that feels like, and as I'm doing this, particularly when I'm in a single, I'm going to have some level of feather. And then so as I do this, some of us are realizing as I was having this is hard. The boat's not going straight, and I'm having a little trouble. It's like, yeah, because now I have to actually have a little dexterity with my fingers to be able to release, feather, square up, and get the blades back in by the time my arms get straight. That's not a lot of room. So basically I come out, I feather, and I roll right back up. If you have the skill set to come out and do non-full feather, you can also play around with that as well. But a lot of you guys, when we're looking at being able to roll up sooner, you hear the words, your brain's like, okay, I understand concept, but it's not being translated into your body. So even though I'm saying roll up sooner, I got it, you still wait until like way up here and then go put it in. So the pick drill is a very nice opportunity to practice rolling up sooner. And so you can conceptualize it as basically you are endeavoring to roll up one position prior to where you are intending to catch. So if I'm doing arms only, it's basically feather and I start rolling up right away. I don't wait until I'm out here and then roll up. It just doesn't work. If you try that, you're like, this just doesn't feel right. I can't, something's not working. I think my boat's broken. It's not the boat, it's you. So if you have to kind of learn to release and then just start rolling right up again with the fingers. A lot of this here. This is what we're looking to kind of get imprinted in our minds here, not this. So just boom, boom, boom. Now, of course, given that repetitive motion, doing arms only with the feather sculling, you might be able to get 40. If you got really nice, good strong forearms, you might be able to get 60 in, but eventually you're going to start noticing that your forearms are getting tired. So, you can only do little bits of it, but practice this. So I would say, as you get better at this, somewhere between 20 to 40 strokes per position. Holding myself stable, feeling my weight on the tailbone, making sure I have this regular contact into my feet to hold myself stable as I bring the handles to moi. I do not come to the handles. I keep the contact and the support through here, so that as I get further into the stroke, I have a very good understanding in my mind of how I maintain leverage so that I do not lose the pocket. Any motion of my body towards the handles through the course of the stroke is going to reduce pressure on the shaft and the blade, and it's going to cause that pocket on the bow side portion of the blade to collapse, which makes getting out at the release immensely difficult. So I want to make sure I'm really aware of how to maintain leverage. So, assuming I've got this down, I have this concept, I practice it. Once I'm ready to take the next position and put it in, arms come away, and then I am being mindful of how I'm moving into the stern. And we are calling this body angle, but it is really a shifting of weight on the hips. From the tailbone side, hopefully to the tops of the legs, in front of the sit bones, those lovely little bumps that sometimes get sore when you sit in the seats or erg seats for long periods of time. We need to get in front of those. And so if we have enough flexibility in our body, particularly our hips, we are able to shift forward and keep length through our body. Rather than here, this is technically, I have body weight in front of my sit bones, but this is a very weak position to be in. It makes breathing rather difficult because I've just taken my whole thoracic cavity and just collapsed it. So it's like, if I want to take another breath, this is going to be tough. And then when I get up to the catch, here, I'm putting a lot of load on the musculature down through here. It makes it very hard to stabilize my hips as I start to drive. If I sit tall when I come up, then I can use the leverage of my legs to really hang my weight and apply a lot more power a lot more effectively. So body angle is more about shifting the weight on the hips rather than how far forward can I get. Because if I get this far forward, and this is fantastic, right? Yay. But as soon as I go to leg drive, bring the legs up, I'm not going to get this body angle unless my femurs are about this long. So I'm going to have to find something that's a little more representative of what I'm endeavoring to do at full slide. All right? So once I have that, then from here, I find that shift on my hips. Then it is accelerating the swing through, keeping up, and then bringing the arms in. So really focusing on this motion here, this swinging of the weight, and then letting the arms continue through. Okay? And as I mentioned earlier, once I add body swing in, my arms come away, my body comes forward, and pretty much once my arms come away, I start rolling up. And then it's, bam, I'm right in. Rather than, roll up. So that hopefully as the blades are coming, they're always moving to the water as they roll up. They never stop, roll up, and try to go in. And when we get to full slide, this makes it much easier to actually just have a nice, efficient, smooth catch in. So, we've got our body angle. We can just practice this. So we don't need a lot of movement, but we do want to practice sort of pivoting from a lower point in our body, down here. Once we have that, then we add in quarter slide. And quarter slide is a slight bend of the knees. One of the things that is very common when we start adding leg slide in is that because the seat moves easily, if we are not really paying attention early on, we will over time, slowly start progressing up. It's like, what are you doing? Quarter slide. It's like, no, that's more like half, three-quarter right there. So you have to pay attention. Quarter slide is just that you feel that little bit of pull on the hamstrings, probably just as you shift. You let the knees come up a little bit, and the knees go back down. A little bit. So it's a very, very short little bend. So you have a sense of where that is. After you practice that, then you do something that's about half slide, which is, usually about 45-degree angle between your thigh and the deck. Okay? And you practice that, and then again, staying just at half slide. And then if you want to, you can do three-quarter slide, which is kind of almost vertical shins, but not quite. Some of you guys who have that issue are not here, but some of you are having a little difficulty getting to vertical anyway, so, we'll just kind of work it one piece at a time. And then you go to full slide. But each time you're progressing, you are endeavoring when you're doing this at a lower rating, to just rotate one position prior. Begin the rotation. And so you're just slowly practicing it. Eventually, as you get proficient at this, you can do 20 strokes at a shot. And in the course of a couple minutes, you get right through it, you get yourself warmed up, and you are also, on a regular basis, reinforcing these basic mechanics.
So do you warm up before you start the pick drill? Or the pick drill
No, pick drill is like just you warm up. So, early on, if you have difficulty with arms only, then it may not really be a comfortable warm up. But it's important to make sure that you have these basic pieces down, because then if somebody comes along and asks you to do something, particular drill, and you kind of, yeah, I got it, okay, and I'm like, no, that's not it at all. And particularly when you get into team boats, it's important to have an understanding of where these particular positions are. Because if you're, thinking about doing a start, you want to know what half slide is. And, if you've had a start, typically you've experienced a certain amount of stress and things like that and other distractions. So this has to be automatic. You have to know exactly where it is. You can't be thinking about it.